actually done a demonstration on it. So what we've got is, it's just something for you guys to have a look at. We're not saying you need to be Will Harman or copy it or anything like that, but I think it will give a good example and a good sample of how that 20 minutes can be delivered. And what he does is he starts from scratch. He gets two groups. One group are the participants as the players, and then there's a couple of observers, 4 or 5. Or in this case, if we're looking at 15, you might have 3 or 4 of them. There might be individuals who aren't able to take part in the practicals, or ones that would prefer to stand out at that stage, or even pick 1 or 2 that you just want to have observing. And what you do then is you go through the 6 how-to coach skills and you role play them, you demonstrate them, you look for those observers to identify when you do it, and then the participants get to experience it. And within that best practice example, it actually, within the 20 minutes, flows straight through from fundamental activities to coaching skills to putting it in a game, all done quite quickly, but hits on the 6 how-to coach skills. So that video will be available to have a look at. And again, you'll have your own style, you'll have your own way of delivery, but it is a good example to have a look at and see what we're looking for in that 20 minutes. The next section is a brief enough section. It's 10 minutes and it's planning in your group. So that's if you'll be allocated, the coaches coming on the course will be put into a group of 2 or 3, and they have an opportunity here to plan in their group and even to chat about the tasks they've been given below. So what we have here is, for each of these activities below, you'll be allocated a group. This section of the course will give an opportunity to chat with the other members of your group and plan for the rest of the session. So that's a 10-minute, get to know each other as a group of 2 or 3, look at what they've planned, a bit of sharing, and then allocate who's going to do which. What you're going to do there as the coach developer, they're going to come with 3 activities planned. You're going to ask them as a group to identify which one of the 3 is going to lead and be the main coach for each of the 3 sections. So they'll only have to be the lead coach in one, and they can support the other 2 coaches then in the other. They can be a sort of an assistant helper coach for the other 2 elements. That leads us on then to the fundamental movement skills. So we're allocating 60 minutes for this. And the idea here is, as you can see with the descriptor, they have to take an activity, either agility, balance, whichever you allocate them to, and they've got to coach the other 10 to sort of 12 people in the group, depending on the numbers, for 5 minutes on that activity. We will be sending out, and as part of the document, we have a condensed version of the Fundu package, fundamental movement skills, your agility, balance, coordination, running, jumping, throwing. So we can send that out. They'll have other resources that you guys might have shared with them or given them, so they can either take one from the resource we give them and email to them, or if they've got their own game, that's perfect too. So what we've got to do here for this section as coach developers, before we send this out to the coaches on the course, is we allocate who's in which box. So the first thing you've got to do is decide which you're going to take on as the coach developer. So if I'm the coach developer, I'm going to do a best practice demo again quickly for 5 minutes on one of these, and I'm going to get the group to debrief me. So if it was agility, I'm just putting my own name in here. I'm allocating that. And I'm just looking at the screen here of who's in front of me. So if we were taking balance, I've Conal, you're going to be in there. I've got Paddy O'Connor, you're going to be in there. And David Murphy, you're in there. So you're allocated balance. Another 3 for coordination, another 3 for running, jumping, and throwing. You might need 2 in a group if you're 14. Again, we won't have the full 15. So because we're a coach developer to make up the pod, but that's how we allocate it. And within that, then I'm going to do the first one as the lead and do the 5 minutes and get them to debrief me, put them at ease to show how the debrief process works, but at the same time show them what best practice looks like as well. And then it'll move on to the next section. I think we just might need to mute. Alan, can you just mute all there? So once that's done, then they'll do their delivery for 5 minutes coaching and a quick debrief from you as the coach developer for 5 minutes. And that's how we're getting our 60 minutes here. So it's basically 10 minutes, give or take, for each of them. That's the 6 activities. We get through the activities. They all get an opportunity to coach, and we get to see them in action, get to debrief them and work with trying to improve them. So with that said, then we're moving on to the next section, which is the developing the hurling skills. We've allocated slightly longer here, so we've 18 minutes here for this one. And again, this is designed in a Word document, so you can edit it and put in if you want to alter the skills you're doing based on the group and the club and the level they're at, and you might want to change or tweak it, or the groups they're coaching, a bit more about that. You just click into the box once it opens up, edit the skill that you want to include, and then again throw in the names. So I'm just going to put in the names here again. We'll use the 3 lads above, copy them. I'm allocating them the roll lift here, and once again go on to the next. So the idea then, they have to come prepared, ready to coach the roll lift. We have the skill cards document that can be sent out as the email. You pick the 5 skills that you've allocated to the group. They take that, they're ready to coach. So you've got Connell, Paddy and David are all ready to coach the roll lift. Now on the given day when they do their planning, Connell might decide that he's going to take the balance activity and lead on that. Paddy and David help, so he'll be the lead coach. Paddy's going to do the roll lift, so he's going to take the lead, and the 2 lads will help there, and then David brings it into the game. So each will come with the 3 prepped, but they'll only be leading on one, and they'll do that as part of the planning section up here. And that's the instruction you're giving them there. But they're coming prepped to coach as if they were coaching the 3 of them. So that works through the same. As I said, we've given slightly longer here because reality is when we do get down to coaching the skills, we're relying on them to communicate the 3 key teaching points. And in certain cases, they'll do that brilliantly and the group will have it. But as coach developer, you might not only need to debrief, but you might need to step in to clarify maybe a couple of the teaching points, as you know yourselves from delivering courses. They mightn't have maybe hit the 3 really well and been very clear on exactly what we're looking for. And also there's an opportunity, maybe because you're only going to be covering 6 skills in total, there might be an opportunity to address maybe 2 or 3 other skills and go through key teaching points if any of the participants want to know and understand some of them a little bit more. So that's why there's a slightly longer allocation of time in relation to that section. You have an extra 20 minutes or so to play with there. But same as the other format, for the very first one, you deliver it for 5 minutes and they debrief you. Again, showing them the best practice of you doing the introduce, demonstrate, execute and attend. And then they copy or try to replicate what you've done with their skills and their activities. The next part then moves on to the games. And again, if you've picked roll lift for these 3, we'd be recommending you keep them in that again. So they're progressing that activity into a game. And as the coach developer, you would continue on with whichever one you had and you progress it into a game as well. So this time, as I said, David would potentially be the one taking the lead, and Paddy and Connell then are the ones that are supporting and helping him when he's the coach leading that activity. So everybody gets an opportunity to coach for 5 minutes and get debriefed as part of that process. The one thing we've talked about, and in part 4 and part 5, you could treat these as separate ones, do go through each of them, going through the technical, going through the key teaching points and moving it into an activity, and then finish that section and move into the games. Or alternatively, you read the room, you know the group you have, it might be more beneficial to have the 2 coaches flow one into the other. So start with introducing the skill, put it into an activity, and then carry that, like if it was the roll lift, carry it straight into the game. So they sort of coach for the 10 minutes, 5 minutes each, and then you debrief the 2 together. So you show the flow of it being introduced, the demonstration, put into an activity, and progressed into a game. So you might prefer to combine part 4 and part 5 to keep the flow better. What we'd say there, the thinking behind this is, if you feel that these are quite strong and they've landed the coaching skills of introduce, demonstrate and all of that at the beginning, and they've picked up from your best practice, then you probably sorry there, yep. Have we an echo? Is someone?
Yeah, there's an echo coming through there, Carl.
I think it's gone there now. Yeah. What we've got then is read your group, and you guys know this stuff, and you'd be very clued into all of this. It's if you feel that they need a little bit more debriefing on the the sort of the introduce, demonstrate, execute, and attend, you might then want to get those extra debriefs before you move on to the game element. If you feel that the group are quite strong, then you're probably going to try and get them to flow straight from the introduce into an activity, into a game. The debriefing could be stronger from that perspective, and it allows them to see the flow and how it works within a session. So that's up to you and you guys to make the call in relation to that. Again, you're going to have your own way of doing this. This is just a sample, and we just think it'll be a good resource to give out to coaches in advance. The summary and conclusion then is a quick recap of the learnings. It's 10 minutes. It's from the day, as well as an opportunity maybe for coaches to ask any additional questions and to close out the course on that side of things. So there's sort of 5-6 key elements to it, starting at the top again. Very, very quickly, you come in and get them up, get them active, get them involved in it, and showing them what good practice and recapping the 6 how to coach skills in a very, very practical way. A couple of minutes to plan, get to know the group a little bit more. This 6 how to coach will nearly be your icebreaker anyway, because you're going to get them off, get them mingling, get them talking and interacting. Your planning then is 10 minutes where they're in the group and they decide. And the reason we want to get them in the group and let them pick which they're the lead coach on is some will be more comfortable with doing the fundamentals. Some maybe ex-players would prefer to be taking on the skills, and others then will have games. So it's give them an opportunity to pick which one they'd like to do, but also have that support bubble of the other 2 coaches as their assistant coaches to help out. So they're not sort of left isolated, put up on the spot on their own. There's that bit of a support around them between the 3 of them. And then to move in, the key here is you do the first one and show what good practice looks like to set the standard, and then let them come in 5 minutes and do the debriefs as we go. Some debriefs will take less, some will take more, as you know, and then leading on to the hurling skills or football skills, whichever it may be, and then went into the games, and you guys decide whether they flow together or are separate, and the conclusion. I'm just going to open it up. Is there any questions on that so far before I move on to what a dual one might look like? Is this similar to what people have been doing or have been planning?
Column, just something there on the
Yeah.
conclusion.
Yeah.
What we done just before Christmas was at the start, we got all the coaches just to fill out a couple of questions, what they want to get out of the course or general questions, and put them on the post-its. And then while they were preparing their obviously fundamentals or their coaching the skill or games, their 10 minutes there.
Yeah.
I tip over and have a look at them questions and then have them kind of answers for them at the end. So kind of it recaps everything that goes really well, like.
Brilliant, Paddy. And that's a nice one to throw in here. And what you could do here is as they're coming in the door, rather than even wasting time, you know, they're all going to arrive at slightly different times. So as they come in, take a post-it or even a sheet of paper, whatever it is, again, with the COVID restrictions we have, and however you can manage, and just get them to look at 1 or 2 things they're looking from the day and have them nearly writing that up as they're coming in the door. That'd be brilliant. And I think it'd help save time. Excellent. The one beauty of this one, Paddy, and this model, hopefully, is this will all have gone out in advance. So their planning will all have done help that they'll come a little bit more prepped. So great suggestion, Paddy. Is there any others from the groups that have done it so far that would add into this?
Colin, sorry, Tyke here.
Hey, Tyke. Yep.
Yeah, we haven't done it before this way, but just in regards to putting them into groups, would we cross clubs there, or are we looking for them to prep within their own clubs beforehand? Or, I mean, the best thing is probably to put different people from different clubs in the tree or whatever.
Yeah, what you're looking for here, and I suppose clearly state this, where I'm not, if we take this as the example, I'm not looking for Conal and Paddy or David to meet in advance. So as far as they're concerned, when they're coming, they each would have to coach a balanced activity. So Conal will pick his one, Paddy and David can pick his off the sheet and just be ready to coach it. But on the given day, we'll let them choose which one does that one.
Okay.
So there's no having them getting to meet beforehand. Like that's a burden I don't think we can be putting on them, or having them interact in advance. It's still only a foundation course, but it just means they're coming with a little bit of planning of one activity, which isn't a huge amount. One activity for the movement skills, one for the hurling skill and one for the game.
I guess so. Yeah, it doesn't matter who's with who then, basically. Across
No,
clubs.
it doesn't. Now, look, if you know the group and we've a lot of GPOs on here who know them, try and put them to someone that they're already coaching with the same age, you know, and that'll help from that side of things. And if they do talk in advance, great, but it's not a requirement. And if they're from the same club, they might just react and maybe interact a little bit better. You make the call with whatever the group you have. You know the clubs, who to separate, who to keep together. You'll know your audience better than any of us would.
Okay, thanks, Colin.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dave. Any other questions or... I'll just give it a second in case anyone wants to unmute. Okay, from the resources side of things, I'm just going to share the screen here. Again, these folders will all be available in the staff webinar series. So it'll be under the foundation practical section on that. They're all uploaded at the moment. So what we have here is, again, not new. The fundamental resources activity, what we've done is just separated, instead of the whole booklet, we've taken the level 1, level 2 and level 3, a sample of level 1, level 2 and level 3 activities for agility, balance, coordination, running, jumping, throwing, catching, passing, kicking and strike, and catching, passing, not the CPK. So agility, balance, coordination, running, jumping and throwing. So for those 6, they're there and they're available. What you can do is you just package this when you're communicating with the coaches that are registered on the foundation course, because they're all online now, so they've all registered. The email addresses are available there if you need to contact the county admin to get those. But if you're linked on the course, you'll have access to that. Get the email addresses and send this out. So if in this case we had given the lads, if David Murphy was there, David, I'm picking you because you're one of the ones I've allocated. You can choose a game from here, from either of the 3 agility pages that you'd like to coach. You be ready to coach that on the given day. Or alternatively, if you have a game yourself that you've got, you go coach that to the rest of the group on the day. It's up to you, and that's part of the document that goes out. So that's a resource that's available to the coaches in advance. The next thing we've got in relation to the coaches in advance. Sorry, did that show to you guys a minute ago, that resource? Possibly didn't.
Never came up, Colin.
Grand. I was sharing the wrong thing. I was just sharing the folder. So the resource here, I'll just pull it back up again. It's the Fundu pack, but it's only the 3 pages each. You all know that. You've all seen it. It's not new. It's just a condensed version, so you're not sending out the whole book or you're not directing them to different pages. We just have it as one PDF with all of them on it. So that is one PDF can be sent out to all the coaches, so they've got it as a resource. And then if they're allocated balance, they can just pick which balance activity, or if they've got their own one they want to do themselves. The other thing then with the skill cards, and this is all in the folder available to you. If it was the hurling one, there's all the skill cards that are available. You decide which are the 6 that you're going to do, or the 5, because you're going to coach one yourself. So the other 5 that you're allocating out to the group, if you want to individualize it and just send the jab lift to the 3 that are doing the jab lift, you could do that. For me personally, whatever the 5 are, I'd be sending the 5 to the entire group, but making sure that they know that they're just allocated one of them and if to be ready to coach one of them. Within those skill cards, you have the games on the back, but again, emphasize that if they've got their own activities or their own games, they're more than welcome to use them and demonstrate them or coach them on the day. So there's the football skill cards and there's the hurling skill cards on the document. The video here is in the folder as well, and that's the video. It's 25 minutes in total, but there's time you'll save on that. So that's why we have it allocated to 20 minutes. So you can have a look at that in your own time on the Will's demonstration of what we'd see that first 20 minutes. If we come to the dual, it's a little bit trickier on how we manage to do this within the session. So what we're proposing here is, again, the 20-minute demo. You're planning within the group 10 minutes. You've got your physical movement skills 60. So that's all the same. You're hitting your first part A is the developing the football skills. So 70 minutes on that. We're taking 10 minutes off because you're going to be doing a lot of the technical element, because we're going to do the skills twice between hurling and football. So you're allocated there. You're also then again allocated a hurling skill that you're going to be coaching, again, sort of 70 minutes. And the final one then for the games is a coaching tool. What we're suggesting there is you mix and match. So you do maybe a football, hurling, football, hurling, football, hurling, and you allocate again whatever was in the group. So get that, so you're not getting the same people twice. That everyone will get to coach a skill, football, you get to see a skill, hurling, and then you'll also get to see sample games in relation to those. So what we're looking for here is the extra time. This is the 5 hours versus the 4. We're looking for that extra hour, so you're getting them to break down and understand the skills. If they can coach games and understand how to coach games, they can do it across both. We just take samples. But the key here is that they'll at least know the 5 key skills of hurling and football, and to be able to break them down into the 3 key teaching points of the head, hands, feet, etc. So that's how the 5 and the extra hour kicks in for that dual element on the practical side of things. So that's the dual model. That's again how we'd recommend that being rolled out in the practical setting. And the key here, guys, for us is that the foundation, and especially when they've covered the theory online, etc., you do get to do the best practice demos and show good examples. But more importantly, or as importantly, is what we're looking to do here is get to see these guys coaching, giving them an opportunity to coach in a safe environment and give them feedback on their coaching practice. What we can sometimes fall into, especially when it's only 13 or 14, is us nearly showing them and giving them examples of good coaching. But we need to challenge them and see them coaching and give them feedback on their coaching. And this, because of the online, the benefit and the beauty of it is we've engaged with them. We know who they are. We're not getting people rocking up that haven't registered and arriving for the first time, and we don't know who they are, so we can't send anything out in advance. We can now send stuff out in advance to these, have the little prep work done. And because some of these mightn't have engaged for a month, 2 months, 3 months, even 4 months, this document, sending it out to them, is to try and re-engage with them, get them thinking about the coaching again, think about the learning they've done on the theory side of things, do a little bit of planning, a small little bit of planning, which is good practice for them as coaches as well. And they arrive on the day then and put that into practice and get feedback from yourselves. So that's our structure that we're looking to do as far as the foundation practicals when it comes live. Each of these documents you'd be sending out and sharing with the coaches in advance. That's why they're written for them as much as for you, maybe as a guide or a structure. And we allocate them to them tasks and they deliver on it. Have we any questions from anybody so far?
Colin, sorry, Decky here.
Yeah.
Just going on this then, obviously if you don't, I know that ideally you're supposed to have every module done before the practical session anyway, but in this then there's no leeway for that. If you haven't got all the modules done, you just can't participate then, obviously.
At this stage, Decky, because it's not a rush thing, you're right. Yeah, we have to ensure people have the online done, because there's no point in them coming to a practical and then they still have 2 or 3 modules and they still can't sign off on it, and they're potentially taking a place. When we're down to pods of, when we're looking at this, we're talking about groups of 15. So we need to make sure that everyone who's going to be there is going to complete the course. So they have opportunity now to get the online elements done. So in the next couple of weeks, it'll be whatever courses we have up, follow up as the administrators and even as the course developers on it, ensuring the people have the online done, and then they come to this. So yeah, I think that will be important, Decky. It's not the end of the world, but they should have it done in advance, and we should be pushing for them to have it done in advance, because otherwise it doesn't flow, because then they don't know what exactly they're covering. So yeah,
that's fine. Yeah,
point.
thanks.
Any other questions or even feedback from those who've done sessions already?
So is it only one tutor then if it's going to be pods of 15?
And that's why I have it as the 10 to 12, Anthony. If you're a tutor, if there's tutors in training, then they're going to have to co-deliver or shadow, so there will only be 13 participants. The pods will be pods of 15. So whatever that requires needs to be done, you know?
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Breen, were you looking to come in there?
Yeah, Colin, just a quick one there. Look, if we had 3 tutors, could we have 3 groups if we had a 2-field venue being done at the same time? Or would that be all dictated by restrictions, or what's the line there?
That'll all be restrictions, but if you have your pods, again, you know, once it's a pod of 15 and they're sticking to 15, but I think this structure here, that wouldn't be affected in any way, shape or form if you had a pod of 15 on one pitch and another pod of 15 with a complete separate tutor, not interacting with each other.
Yeah.
Again, that'll be whatever the restrictions are, but it's still the structure, the same delivery method here, because you're in that group of 10, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay. Cheers.
And if you have slightly less numbers, just put 2 in a group and they'll just do a little bit more coaching. That's all.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Breen. Okay. Guys, unless there's any other questions, that sort of covers what we wanted to go through today on the foundation element. The folder's up live there at the moment. I'll send on a link to everybody in the next couple of minutes again. So again, we had this scheduled at 11:30. There's that 25-minute video. We'd like you to go look at that once we finish here. I'll share it with you fairly quickly so you'll have access to it. And just have a look at it and see if it's something that you could see yourself delivering for that first 20 minutes, and is there anything you might pick up. David, do you want to come in there? David Murphy? Or just unmuted?
Sorry, Colin. No, I'm fine. I've no questions.
Oh, great. Perfect. Okay, so that's in relation to that section. For those that have signed up, we have, I think, 40 signed up for the performance analysis course this afternoon. I just very, very quickly want to go through the structure on that. So a good few, I think at this stage, most have got the email. I think we had a few new registrations yesterday evening. So for those that are doing it, you're either allocated to group 1 or group 2. So to get the courses, I've sent on the link, but just to be sure, make sure you're registered in advance, because there is content that's going to be shared through the e-learning system. And to register, you're just you're starting off GA learning, going into GA courses, and this is once you're signed in. Make sure you are signed in. You're going into GA courses. You can click on the coach and then click on Leinster. And down at the bottom of Leinster, you have Leinster Central, and you have group 1 or group 2. So you've got the email from me if you've been allocated to a group. So you're either allocated to group 1 or group 2. If you're allocated to group 1, you click on that. You'll be asked for the enrollment key I shared with you. So you just put in that enrollment key and register on the course. To access the webinar this afternoon, when you come in here and you've enrolled in the course using the enrollment key, you'll have the link to join the webinar here at 2 o'clock. So we'd like you all to access through that link to get the webinars this afternoon. So the 2 groups, there's going to be 2 courses happening at the same time. Group 1, access through this webinar link, and group 2 then link through they access their course and click on the link from there. So that's how you'll be accessing the online webinars today and tomorrow. Again, if you look at the 25th, there's the webinar link for tomorrow. So again, log in at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon if you're assigned to this course, and you click on that and you access it through that. Because what you'll see is there's resources and stuff that become available and are required in order to complete the course. So once you do the webinar, we make them available to you. Then you'll get access to them once you've joined through this webinar link here. So that's why we need you to access. I won't be sending out the link to the webinar. You'll access it through this system for the afternoon. So that's it, just in relation to those who've signed up to the performance analysis courses this afternoon. Any questions on that? Or
Colin, Anthony Maston here.
Yeah, hey Anthony.
I registered yesterday, so I haven't got a group yet.
Okay? I'll send you an email. There's a couple from Wexford. I'll send both of you 2 a year group 1 and 2 a year group 2. So I'll send you on the email. Perfect. Okay, guys, unless there's anything else, I'll share those links fairly quickly. But that's the structure we're looking for in relation to the foundation courses. and then for those accessing the webinar this afternoon. Alan, do you want to come in with anything before we finish off here?
No, I'm okay, Carl. Just if you could ask the games managers just stay on for literally 2 minutes after. Just if everyone else leaves, and just ask games managers stay on for just 2 minutes. Just want to quickly run through something with them. That's all. Thanks very much, Carl.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Carl.